Hello and welcome back to the course on MetaTrader 4. Today we're talking about getting organized. You know how sometimes in MetaTrader 4 you prefer one chart type to another, or you prefer a certain color of your chart, or you don't want to see the grid, or maybe you use some indicators more often than others. Well, in MetaTrader there are certain ways to set these defaults for you to make your work in MetaTrader 4 much more seamless and your experience more enjoyable. So you will be seeing some advanced tips on that in this section, which will really help you out going forward, and make sure to look out for those. And specifically, check out the tutorials on templates and profiles. Those are probably the most two powerful tutorials in this section. And let's dive straight into the materials. Hello and welcome back to the course on MetaTrader 4. Here in front of us, we have 8 Forex charts. They're all different. Some of them are for different currency pairs. Some of them are for different time frames. Some of them have different levels of zoom, and some have different indicators placed on them. But most importantly, all of them have different color schemes. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Today, I will show you how to customize your chart to your preferences and to your liking. Because ultimately, you're going to be spending a lot of time in MetaTrader 4, and it is important for your experience, for your trading experience to be enjoyable and for you to want to be getting back to your platform. So let's go ahead and I will show you how to customize your chart. Now we're going to focus on this chart over here. So let's go ahead and expand it by clicking the button up at the top in the middle. And in order to change the style of your chart, you need to right click and go into properties. Now here you have two tabs. You've got the colors tab and you've got the common tab. We're going to focus on the colors tab for now. Here you have 3 predefined schemes. You've got the yellow and black, which will basically change the green to a black. You've got the green and black, which we just saw, and you've got the black on white, which we've also worked with before. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set up a scheme that personally I find very nice to look at. I find it not distracting. I don't find it too aggressive. But at the same time, if that's not the scheme that you like, then feel free to set up your own colors as you think you'll prefer. And we're going to start off with the background. So the background, first of all, of course, you've got to take into account your own color preferences, but also I recommend taking into account things like what time of day you're going to be working with your charts most of the time. What is it? Is it dark in the room you're sitting in? Is it light in the room you're sitting in? Is there reflection coming off your chart? And so on. So things like that will basically make your chart visible and easy to work with in the time of day and in the environment that you're performing your MetaTrader 4 work in. So here you just need to click the drop down. You can select any color, and as you can see, this window adjusts for you and it shows you the preview. So I've got a personal preference over here. There's a color called Gainsborough, and if I select that, it's kind of like a light grayish. Then foreground is the text over here on the axes and basically all of the information on your chart. So sometimes black works fine, but if you select a dark background, then black won't work fine, and you might want to select a different color. So you can select like a blue, but in this case, blue doesn't work at all. You can select a red, a white, and so white is quite often used, like as you can see here right now, white is used on this chart. In this case, I'm going to leave it on black. Next, the grid. So the grid is that those lines in the background, and personally I like to switch them off, so it doesn't really matter what grid we select, but in this case, let's for instance select a snow color grid. And here's the fun part. So the bar up, bar down, bull candle, bear candle, and line graph. So your bar up is basically the outline of a bar or of a candle going up, or if you're working with standard bars, then it's just the color of the bar. And here I'm going to select dark gray, so that color over there. For the bar down, I'm actually also going to select dark gray, and I'll explain why in a second. For the bull candle, I'm going to select dark gray. For the bear candle, I'm going to select the next color down, which is light salmon. And for a line graph, I'm just going to select dark gray. So a lot of people forget about this, but the line graph actually is responsible for your dodges. So if I select changes to red, right now on this preview, you can't see any example of that, but basically it's lines that don't have, it's candles that don't have a body. So when the open equals to the close price, then that the color of that candle will be line graph, or this is also responsible for the color of the line graph that you have on your charts. So this one we're also going to say dark gray, and the rest we're going to leave it as is. And if I click OK, now if I take off the grid and then I zoom in a bit, you'll see that it's at this level of zoom, it's actually quite a pleasant color mix. And the reason why I left dark gray for bearish candles, for the outline of bearish candles, here you can see that it's actually, it looks like it's outlined. So even though the filling is kind of pinkish or salmon color, the outline is gray, and it makes it stand out. And personally, I really like this style. It's nice to look at. It doesn't strain your eyes. It doesn't distract you from your analysis. I personally think that this is a great color scheme, but once again, it's totally up to you. It's a matter of personal preference. So we're going to go into properties and quickly have a look at the common tab. In the common tab, what we're interested in is you can change your type of chart here again, which we already know how to do through this menu up at the top. And also you can add your ask line. So the line you currently see here is the bid line. If you select show ask line, then it will add an ask line to your chart as well. Also, you can add the period separators if you want, and those are just the two other things that we're interested in. So let's click OK. So there you see the ask line has been added, and it is exactly the same value as you can see in this market watch window. And the period separators, they basically tell you when the day ends according to your server time and when the next day is going to begin. So as you can see, it kind of visually tells you how far away the end of the day is. And that's how you set up your chart to your personal preference. Let's make this smaller so it fits back inside our 8 charts. And there you go. You saw how easy it is, how quick it is to set up your chart. And once again, there are many different types of color schemes that you can select from, and you can, and personally I think you totally should tailor your experience to what you're interested in seeing. And that's us for today. In the next tutorial, I will reveal to you the power of templates, and that'll be a very strong tutorial that will help you even better leverage these color schemes and take them with you when you're creating new charts and wherever you go. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, happy trading. Hello and welcome back to the course on MetaTrader 4. Today we're going to learn how to use templates, but before we proceed, I think it's time for us to close these orders. They've been around for a while, since the very start, since we opened them in one of our first tutorials. As you can see now, they're in profit in total, so there's 260 approximately dollars in profit. So let's go ahead and close them. To close these orders, all you have to do is click this cross sign, because we did enable one-click trading, or you can right-click and select close order, and the order will be closed. And once again, we'll talk more about opening and closing orders. I just wanted to demonstrate to you that in this particular case, we have made a profit. So if I go to account history down here, you will see that we made a loss on 1 order, but we made a profit on 3 orders. And in total, so far, we have added $241 to our demo account. All right, so now on with today's tutorial. We have lots of different types of charts here, lots of different color schemes. Now, what happens if we want to open up a new chart, right? So if I go and I say I would like to look at, for instance, the euro-dollar chart. So I right-click and I say chart window, and I've got a new window here. Well, how do I now apply this same color scheme that I had here, for instance, to this chart? Do I really have to go through the tedious process of going into properties and selecting all the correct colors? Well, the answer is no. In MetaTrader 4, there are things called templates, and templates actually allow you to save your color schemes that you've selected into pre-configured files, and then you can load them up onto new charts. So that's exactly what we're going to do now. In order to create a template, we're going to right-click onto the chart where we've already selected our color scheme, and we're going to go to Template. And here we're going to just simply click Save Template. In Save Template, we're going to give our template a name. As you can see, there are some templates over here which come pre-packaged with MetaTrader 4. This one, for instance, I'm going to say Gray Favorite, because it is my favorite template, or the one I like the most in terms of the color scheme. So I've given it a name, and now I just have to click Save. Now I can right-click on this chart and go to Templates, and I can select Load Template. And once the template has been loaded, once this window has been loaded, I just need to find my template. There it is, gray favorite, and open up. And as you can see, automatically the chart has been adjusted. So the time frame of the chart hasn't changed, but everything else has. So the colors, the zoom, so I can zoom out now and I can see my chart again, the types of bars that are being used. They're not bars anymore, they're candlesticks. And so that is how you use a template. Now, the best part is that I can build on top of templates. So I can have this as my base template. And let's say, for instance, I would like to see this indicator or this control panel on this chart as well. So I would like to see the one-click trading. So I just right-click, I select one-click trading. Now it has appeared, and now I can save this template again. I can go and say template, save template, and I can say gray favorite, and I'll say with one-click trading. So probably OCT doesn't, with one click. There we go. So if I save that, and now I open another chart, say, let's say euro-dollar again, and let's say, for instance, I want to change it to an M5 chart, so somewhere where I have to trade very quickly. And here I will go and load up the template, and you can see that it's appeared here as well, so I can just select it from here. And as you can see right away, I've got this one-click trading available to me. And that is a very convenient way of saving your preferences of charts and moving them around. Also, you can add indicators, just like we added this control panel. If you add an indicator to a chart and you would like it to appear with the template, you can save that as well. So it gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of how you use MetaTrader 4 and how you adapt the different charts that you're working with to the different templates that you have. And you can have multiple templates. Say you could have templates for currency, for every single currency, or for different time frames, or for different types of currencies. So you could say have templates for euro currencies, you could have templates for British pound currencies, and that would help you, possibly that could help you navigate the terminal better. So there we go, that's how you work with templates. I hope this tutorial was useful, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, happy trading. Hello and welcome back to the course on MetaTrader 4. It's not a coincidence that today's tutorial is called Secret Hack, because I will actually share with you something that not many Forex traders know and not many Forex traders actually use in their trading. Alright, so let's have a look at what we've learned so far. We've learned that we can change our chart appearance, and we can also save templates. So once we have a certain type or certain representation of a chart that we really like, we can save, we can go ahead and right click and go to templates, and we can save a template. And then once it's saved, we can load it onto new charts. So basically, if I open up a new chart, I can right click and I can simply load a template that I have saved before. So that's great. But what you can see is that every time I open a new chart, it will always open in this format. It'll always be black with green in the background. It will always have this grid. It will always not have this chart shift enabled. It will always have the chart auto scroll enabled. So every single time it's always the same. And if you want to apply a template, you have to right click and you have to load a template. So for me personally, you already know that I don't really like this grid. It's distracting to me and it makes my charts look cluttered. So every single time I would have to disable the grid at the least, right? So every single time I would have to disable the grid, or moreover, I would have to go ahead and load a template. Well, this is the hack. If you have a preferred template or a preferred representation of your chart, then there's a way in MetaTrader 4 to save this representation as the default template, as a template that will always come up when you open up a chart. And let's do that. Let's have a look how it's done, and then you'll be able to apply it in your own trading. I'm actually pretty excited about this. So let's say we want to use this template as our default template. So what we need to do is we need to right click this chart, go to templates, save template, and just as we did before, we will create a template, but the only difference is that this time we will give it a special name, and the special name will be default. So if you call it default starting with a capital D, you'll see that this template, it isn't present here, and that's why not many traders know about it, that you can actually create the default template. And you create the default template, you click save, and now whenever I open a new chart, you'll see that it actually automatically opens in this template. So let's open up another one. You'll see that it's opening over here because that's the one I saved. So I can go right click here and template, save template. I can override this default template. There we go, save on top of it. And now when I open a chart, it'll be opening right over here as well, and it'll be in the right color scheme. See, so there we go. And once you, let's say you get tired of this default template, or you want to make some modifications to this default template, you can always go ahead and take a new chart, take a new template, and save it as a default. So let's go template, save as template. Wait, that wasn't save. So template, save template, default, save. There we go. And so now when I open another template, another chart, it will always be in this format. And personally, I think this is a great hack to MetaTrader 4 because it really allows you to personalize the platform. So from now on, whatever chart I open, so there's full screen mode, whatever chart I open, it will always be in this format. It'll always have bars, it'll always be this color scheme, it'll always be just the way I like it. And that way, you kind of distance yourself from that black and green, which is the standard, and you no longer feel like you are using MetaTrader 4 just as a general user, just like everybody else. You're actually using MetaTrader 4 the way you want to use it, and that's I think that's a great advantage. That's a great thing to have. So there we go. That's how you create a default template, and that's how you use it to advantage. I highly recommend for you to give it a go, at least give it a go, and see how that changes your experience with MetaTrader 4. And until next time, happy trading. Hello and welcome back to the course on MetaTrader 4. Today we will talk about the toolbar, and the toolbar is located up at the top here. So we will learn how to customize the toolbar, and we'll learn a bit more what we actually have in this toolbar. So in reality, there's actually 4 toolbars here, and you can tell by this little kind of rough patch at the start of each one of them that they're separate. So I can move each one. Let me right click and I will uncheck auto arrange, and I can move them around. So there you go, you can see that there's 4 of them. And also if you go to view toolbars, you will see the names: standard, charts, line studies, and time frames. So this is the standard one, this one over here, that's called the standard toolbar. This one is called the charts toolbar. This one's called the line studies toolbar, and this one's called the time frames toolbar. And you can disable any one of them if you don't want to see it. So just right click and uncheck it and it will disappear. You can disable another one, you can disable as many you want. If you want to return them, just go to toolbars and return it like that or like that. So there you go. So these are the toolbars that you have. Now you can customize each one of them to your liking and remove or add buttons as you wish. Why would you do that? Well, because that allows you to really focus on things you actually use. Why would you have something in here that you don't use? It just takes up space. So if you're on a laptop, then it does take up space, and if you have less of them, then you can actually fit them into one line, into one row, and then that will give you more space for your charts. And also it just distracts, so it gets in the way, and if it's something you don't use, then you don't really need it there. So let's have a look at the period one, for instance, the time frame one. If you right click it and click customize, you can see what you can add and remove here. So if you don't use any kind of period from here, you can just remove it like that and it will be gone. So as you can see, it's already gone out of the toolbar, or you can put it back. You can also add this separator in between. So let's say you want to separate everything that is above an hourly time frame. You just add a separator here, and as you can see, we've got a divider that has been added in there. Personally, I don't recommend making any changes to this toolbar because it's one of the most useful ones. You can quickly switch timeframes, and it's better just to keep everything here. So we're going to leave that one alone, and we will move on to the charts toolbar, which is up at the top here. So if you right click this toolbar and customize, what you'll see here is there's one feature that you can add, but personally I don't use it much, so we're not going to bother with it. Let's see what we can remove from here. So these ones we will keep because they're convenient. We can quickly click them and change the types of our charts. Zoom in, zoom out are useful. Tile windows is quite useful, as we saw. Auto scroll, chart shift are quite useful. Now indicators. Indicators, you can leave it if you like, but we've already discussed that indicators are available here, and we will see further down in the course how to work with indicators. So if you like, you can remove it for now, but later on you can add it back. I'm going to leave it for now. Templates, we've worked with templates and they're quite powerful. We use templates through right-clicking our charts and access them that way. How this button works is it does the same thing. So you basically select the chart you want to add a template to, and you select your template, it'll be added to that chart. So maybe keep that button. But now what does this button do? Periods. If you click this drop down and you select a period, it will change the period of your chart. But we already know that we can do it through this toolbar over here. So this button is completely redundant in my view. So you either keep this button or you keep this toolbar. Personally, I prefer the toolbar, so I'm going to get rid of this button. Let me show you how to do that. If I go to customize and find this button and I just put it in here, it's gone. Close. There we go. So we saved some space. We removed one button. All right, so you can do the same process for each one of these toolbars. Let's quickly look at the remaining two so we know what is available there. If we go into customize for the standard toolbar, you'll see some options that are practically never used, so we won't be adding them in. The only one that we might consider is options, but I'll show you how to get into options later on through the standard menu. And here what we have is we've got the new chart. So if you want to add a chart, normally I right click the market watch and I add a chart from there. So realistically, I never use this button. I'm going to remove it. Profiles are useful. So this is another way to access profiles. Let's keep that. Then you've got the 5 buttons that are associated with the 5 different windows in MetaTrader 4. And we've already used these buttons before, so we'll leave them here. New order, meta editor, and auto trading, I would leave all of those as well. And finally, the line tools. Let's go to customize, and what you'll see here are the cursor, the crosshair that we've used, vertical line, horizontal line, trend line. We'll learn how to work with all of them. Fibonacci retracements are useful. Text, labels, arrows are useful. The one I never use is the equidistant channel. It's quite a useful tool. It's quite mathematical, but personally I don't use it in trading, so I'm going to remove this one. And then you've got some other tools here that you might find useful. So just look through them and see which ones you have. And then when we get to the section on marking up your charts, you will see the ones that you actually like, and then you'll be able to select them from here. Say, for instance, you like the rectangle, you'll be able to add it into your markup tools over here. So there we go. That's how you set up your toolbar. And if you want to put it on one line, you can. You just put all of them on one line, and that way you'll add some space for your chart. Personally, I'm just going to keep it in 2 lines. Also, by the way, you can completely separate some of the tools. So if you're using something for a specific chart, you can just separate it and use it for the analysis and then put it back. Or you can put it in here, for instance, if you like. But that is already a personal preference. So I'm just going to add it back here. I'm going to try add it on a second line if I can do that. There we go, and add this one back here on the second line. And I'm just going to right click and select auto arrange. There we go. Those are our toolbars, and that's us for today. I look forward to seeing you next time, and until then, happy trading. Hello and welcome back to the course on MetaTrader 4. Today we're going to talk about the Market Watch. The Market Watch is the window over here, and we've already touched on it a little bit, and today we will really dive into all of the features that it offers and see how we can customize this window to our liking. All right, in order to make some more space, I'm going to remove the data window, and you always know how to return it. If you need it, you just click this button over here, it comes back, and I will make the navigator a bit smaller so that we have more space for our Market Watch, and actually I will make some space like this for the Market Watch as well. Now let's retile the charts, and there we go. So this is our Market Watch. So what does the Market Watch offer us? If you look at it just as it is, then on the left, you've got a list of financial instruments that you can potentially trade in the platform. And here we've got a list of currency pairs. And if you scroll down, you'll see that there are some additional instruments like silver, gold, and we've got some indices like the DAX, Dow Jones, S&P, and so on. And in this course, we're going to be focusing on currency pairs. So let's scroll back up. And on the right here, we've got the bid and ask price for each of these instruments. And on the left, we've got a small arrow which shows us which way the most recent movement happened. So also you can see that there's a tab here which is tick chart. So if you click there, you will be presented with a tick chart. So what is the tick chart? Tick chart is a special kind of chart. It's different to the charts that you normally see in MetaTrader 4. And as you can see here, there are no bars. So every single tick that happens is recorded. So every single tick is visible on this chart, and that is how this chart is constructed. So just for argument's sake, I'll explain on this chart. So here you can see that all the ticks that are coming, they're being aggregated into one bar. So in this case, it's a 1 minute bar. So every minute there's a new bar, and all of the ticks that, or all of the new prices, the ticks are basically new prices that come into the chart, into the terminal. So all of the new prices that as they come in, they're aggregated into this one bar. Here, on the other hand, every new price that comes in, it is recorded on the chart, and that's how the tick chart is constructed. And you are seeing the tick chart for the instrument that you select. So if we want to see one for the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, we click that, and you can see the tick chart, or for the Australian dollar, US dollar, there's the tick chart. So those are the basic features. Now, if you want to drill into the advanced features, you need to right-click your Market Watch. And we've already done this a couple of times. We've right-clicked the Market Watch to bring up new charts. So if you right-click an instrument and you select chart window, it'll bring up the window for that chart. So then you can analyze the data for that currency pair. Also, you can right-click and select a tick chart. That'll basically take you to the tick chart. You can create a new order, but we'll talk about that later in one of the other sections of this course. Now we've got some other things here. So we've got depth of market. Let's click that. The depth of market is intended to be similar to the depth of market that you would see in a stock trading platform or some other market-based trading activity. But because the Forex market is called a market, but in reality it's all around the world. It doesn't have a centralized location, so you don't actually have a depth of market on the Forex market. So this window is actually quite useless, and personally I never look at it, and I don't recommend looking at it. Also, it's quite dangerous because once you click one of these buttons, you will create an order, and a pending order. This is considered one-click trading, and as you remember, we agreed to those terms, so I would not look at this window at all. What else do we have here? We've got specification. So if you right-click an instrument and go to specification, it will tell you all about that instrument. So that the spread is floating, it's not fixed, the number of digits, the stop level, contract size, basically everything you might ever need to know about this instrument. So swap long, swap short. So if you ever find yourself in a situation when you need more information about a specific instrument, remember that you can right-click and go into specification. And now let's see what else we can do. How can we customize this Market Watch to our liking? Well, first of all, you've got these options over here. So you can, in addition to the bid and ask, you can add the spread, which I find quite useful. So you can see the spread, real-time spread over here. And remember that this is a 5-digit broker. So spread here is in 5 digits. So in terms of 4 digits, let's say 25, or let's go to euro dollar. There is $0. So a spread of 14 in 4-digit mode is actually 1.4. So it's quite an alright spread. It's less than 2, which is pretty good. And so remember that if you're dealing with a 5-digit broker, then spread is given in 5-digit mode. Also, you can add the high-low. But personally, I think that adding the high and low is a bit of an overkill. You don't really need that information. It really clutters everything up. So let's get rid of them. All right. Also, same thing for time. You don't need that because you have time here, and this time just tells you when was the last tick, when did the last tick arrive, and once again, nobody really needs that information. So what we're actually interested in is this part over here where you can select the symbols that you want to see. So let's go ahead and hide all. So that'll hide all the symbols except for the ones that you already have on your chart. You cannot hide those. So if you close the charts, then you'll be able to hide them. Now let's go to symbols. And here you can select the symbols that you want to see in your market watch. So here, the ones that we already see are in yellow. The ones we don't see are in gray. So let's expand this a bit. And so you've got FX majors, FX minors, FX exotics, and depending on your broker, the groupings will be can vary. So let's say in this case we want to show all of the FX majors. So just click FX majors and click show, and then we've got our other currency pairs that are selected here because we've got the charts open. So let's close that, and here we will go to sets and we'll save this set as set 1. And now we will go ahead and we will show all. So now we are looking at completely everything that is available in the platform, and we'll go and save this set as set 2. And this is another way to customize your platform. Say you want to do analysis on specific currency pairs that you've saved in set 1. You go to sets, set 1, and there you go. So you just have the currency pairs that you're interested in, and that allows you to focus specifically on them. So you could have a set for the British pound currency pairs, or you could have a set for all of the currency pairs that you have here, or you could have a set like we have for all of the currency pairs that we have here, plus all of the FX majors. And that allows you to dynamically adjust the platform to what you are looking at that specific point in time. That's another way, just like templates and profiles, to customize your platform and tailor it to your needs, and also at the same time not lose information. So if you ever need to go back to a specific set, you just go into sets and you select that set, and there it is. It has been returned back for you. So there you go. That's how you use the Market Watch and how you make the most out of the features that are available in the Market Watch. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, happy trading. Hello and welcome back to the course on MetaTrader 4. In today's tutorial, we're talking about the terminal window, which is located down over here. So the terminal window has lots of different tabs, and today we'll go through all of them, and we'll stop in detail on some of them. Some of them we'll skip because we'll talk about them later, but at least we will get to know what each one of them is responsible for. So first of all, the trade tab. And we've already seen the trade tab in action. You will see any open trades or even pending trades. They will be displayed here. The exposure tab. So we won't talk about this today because we'll talk about the exposure tab separately in a different section of this course when we're actually creating orders. And in that section also, we will talk about the account history. So basically these three tabs, trade, exposure, and account history, they all relate to creating, opening, and closing orders in your trading platform. And we will talk about these three tabs in the separate section of the course. Now moving on, we've got news over here. So news gives you some news or some updates on what's going on in the world, and the type of news that you get depends on what subscriptions your broker has. So you can read them, you can just double click them and they will open up, and so there's some information. So here you can see, you can actually read through this news event, and you know, like here's some calendar. So this is like an economic calendar. You've got another calendar, you've got some information on the US dollar, and so on. So basically, if you like, you can read through this, but personally I don't use it because if I need to, I can get the news from elsewhere. There's lots of sources online. There's also an economic calendar online which you can review. So personally, I don't follow the news tab at all. Alerts. Alerts, here you can set up some alerts. So this can be a useful feature. Not many traders use it. I'm one of them. I don't actually use the alerts tab, but you can explore it, and I'll explain what it does and maybe decide for yourself if this is something of interest to you. So I can go ahead and right click and select create, and it'll allow me to create a new alert. And that alert will allow me or allow the trading platform to notify me when a certain event occurs. So let's say I want to hear a sound when the euro dollar, so the bid for the euro dollar, right now it's 1.10411. So let's say it's below 1.10400. And the sound I want to hear is an alert. So let me click test. You heard that. So there, let's do that again. That was a test. And let's click, or it's already actually below that price. So maybe let's change that to 3998 for instance. Click OK. And so there we go. So the alert has been created. And now whenever this chart over here, your dollar goes below that price, you will hear the notification. So let's leave it like that for a moment. Maybe the price will go down. So basically that allows you to monitor or hear notifications about charts that you're not actually actively looking at the point in time. You might be doing something else. You might be cooking. You might be looking at other charts. You might be doing something else on your computer. But then if you want to hear when an alert occurs or when a certain event occurs, you set up an alert and it will notify you. All right, so let's set up another one. Let's create a notification, and let's say when let's say this chart over here, dollar franc is greater, so the bid is greater than, so right now it's 0.98366. Let's say 0.95. So it's definitely correct. So the answer is yes for sure, and that way we'll just see how it works. So click OK. And as you heard, that was a sound. So every 10 seconds there will be a sound, because the timeout is 10 seconds and there's 1,000 iterations. For every 10 seconds you will hear that sound. There it goes again, and so on, so on, so on. And also you can select your own sound, so you don't have to select the ones here. You can click these dots here and you can find your own WAV file. So it can even be like a song or some loud noise that will attract your attention. So I'm going to delete this. I'm going to delete that. So again, once again, explore this tab, alerts. I personally don't use it, but maybe that will be something handy for you. And maybe if you get used to it from the start, maybe you will benefit from it throughout your trading. Okay, mailbox. So with your account, you get a mailbox, and it's only used by your broker and MetaQuotes. They send you some various emails and promotions into this mailbox. The only useful email here, honestly, is the registration email. So if you open it up, you can copy your account details and save them somewhere. That's probably the only email that I ever open in the mailbox. And moving on, we've got the market here. So this is quite interesting. This is a new feature, or quite a new feature in MetaTrader. MetaQuotes have been actively promoting their MetaTrader for market, and here you can basically buy programs. You can buy robots, you can buy, or you can even rent robots, you can buy indicators and so on, which sounds like a great idea, but honestly, I'm not a believer in buying a Forex robot just from the market that will right away work for you. Setting up robots and optimizing them, back testing, forward testing them, and getting to know them and getting them to work for you is a very lengthy process. And in fact, I have a separate course on that, and in that course we go through all of the steps from back testing to forward testing to optimizing to testing on live demo accounts, live accounts, and so on. So personally, I don't believe in just buying a robot and making it work, but nevertheless you can explore these here. So you can see the prices are quite astonishing. $1,950 for a robot, $1,800. What else they have here is some magazines which you can look at. These might be interesting. Some books, and basically it's kind of like a marketplace, and you can purchase things. So that is the MetaQuotes market. You can have a look at that. Also, you can access it online through the MetaQuotes website. Signals. So similar to the market, you can actually subscribe to signals, and here these are paid signals. So or some of them are free, so you've got free signals, some of them are paid, and basically so you will be notified when some trader is opening a buy or sell order, and if you choose to, you can copy them. Once again, I don't believe in that. I believe in doing my own trading, or even if I'm doing it with Forex robots, then doing it diligently and with quality. So like I don't use the signals tab. Code base. So here, this is pretty much the same code base you can access from the through the MetaQuotes website. And here you've got some programs, indicators, expert advisors that you might be interested in exploring. Personally, I prefer to look at these things on the MetaQuotes website because it is more convenient. There you get like a fuller picture, you get all the descriptions, the comments, and so on. So yeah, also don't really use this tab, but it's good to know what it's there for. And finally, we've come to the experts and the journal tabs. So the experts, let's probably start with the journal tab. So the journal tab tells you about everything that's going on in your trading platform. If an order has been opened, if an order has been closed. So you've got some, if we've loaded an indicator onto a chart, you've got your alerts. So basically it's like a logbook for everything that has been going in the platform, and these are saved. So if you restart the platform, it'll this view will lose all of the information, it'll start again, but nevertheless the logbooks or these journals are saved in a separate folder in your platform's data folder, and there you can access it to investigate if something to investigate what was going on in the platform at a certain period of time. And the experts tab is also a logbook, but it's a logbook for your experts. So if an expert opens an order or has an alert or a print notification, they all get recorded here. So it's another type of logbook to keep track of your experts. And we'll be talking about experts in a separate section of this course. So there we go. Those are the tabs in your trading in your terminal window. And that's what they're for. Once again, we didn't talk about all of them in great detail because some of them we'll be exploring further down in the course. And that's us for today. I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, happy trading. Hello and welcome back to the course on MetaTrader 4. Today I will show you where to find the settings for your terminal, and we'll make some minor adjustments to those settings. Alright, so your settings are located up here if you go to Tools and Options, or you just simply click Ctrl-O on your keyboard. And then you're presented with a window like this. So here you've got a lot of tabs, and let's quickly run through them. So you've got server, where you can log into your account, and that's pretty much the same as going into file and log into account. Also, you can enable a proxy server. For instance, if you're working, if you want to use MetaTrader 4 from work, then you need to talk to your system admin and he'll help you set this up. Charts, some controls about your charts, objects, some controls about your objects, trade, so some also controls about your trades, but we will talk more about this tab when we get to the section about trading in MetaTrader 4. Expert advisors will also talk about this tab more in the associated section. And then you've got some tabs that aren't that used. So you've got notifications, email, FTP, signals, community, and events. So all of these are very specific and should only be used if you're actually pursuing a specific purpose. So we're not going to go through them because they're not that common. But if you do need them, you definitely can read up about them online, and they allow you to log into the community or use signals or email and so on. So we're not going to talk about them now. Today, I would like to focus on this one, on the charts tab, because here there's these two options that actually can be quite useful. All right, so what are these two options for? The first one on the left says max bars in history. So that is the amount of bars MetaTrader 4 can store in its historical data for a given chart. And then max bars in chart actually specifies how many bars MetaTrader 4 can show you on the chart. So in like the maximum number of bars. And why do these maximums exist? Well, max bars in history, it will limit your consumption of internet data by MetaTrader 4, so it won't download more bars than you are allowing it here. So that is kind of like the main thing why there's this max bars in history. And plus, it won't take up space on your hard drive. But hard drives are getting so big these days that it shouldn't be an issue. So mostly it's so that MetaTrader 4 doesn't use up too much internet downloading bars, like historical bars that are far away that you will never ever use. And max bars in chart, it kind of the main restriction here, or the main reason for this, is so that MetaTrader 4 doesn't use up too much of your RAM and like processing capacity of your computer, because to display those bars on the chart, MetaTrader 4 has to pull them out of the history and keep them ready for you right there whenever you need them. So if those two things are not an issue, if your internet consumption is not an issue, and you have sufficient RAM for MetaTrader 4, so it's not slowing down your computer, then you can feel free to increase these by as much as you want. And why you would want to increase them? Well, let's have a look at this number, 65,000, right? Doesn't sound like a little number. It sounds like a huge number. But at the same time, let's bring up a calculator and let's say 65,000, and let's assume that you're working with the 1 minute time frame, right? So 65 1 minute bars. That means 65,000 1 minute bars. That means 65,000 minutes. So if we divide by 60, we'll get the number of hours. And if we divide by 24, we'll get the number of days. So that's basically just over 2 working months, or 2 months of working days. And that isn't that much. So if you want to analyze the 1 minute time frame for 3 months or 4 months, you already can't do that with this restriction. So if you do want to analyze the 1 minute time frame for more than 2 months, then you will need to increase this number. So what I normally do, and you can also do this, but once again, if your internet consumption and your RAM, and like if your MetaTrader 4 isn't slowing down your computer, you can also do this. What I normally do is I just max these out. So I put 9s all the way, then I click OK, and I go back into Tools, Options, and MetaTrader 4 has replaced them with the actual maximums that it can have. And that means that basically there will be no restrictions, and it'll download everything that your broker provides. And also bear in mind that brokers normally provide like a restricted amount of historical data, and anyway you will have like a restricted amount of historical data in your MetaTrader 4 history. So there we go. That's how to access the options of MetaTrader 4. If you ever need to change something, you will find most of the controls for the terminal over here. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, happy trading. Hello and welcome back to the course on MetaTrader 4. Today we're going to talk about the connection status and why it's important and how you can monitor it. Alright, so today we're talking about the connection status. The connection status is located down over here at the bottom, and you can see the green and the red over here, which means that there is a connection. So when there is no connection, it's just red. And here you can see the number of kilobytes that your MetaTrader 4 has downloaded since the connection has been initiated. So as long as it looks something like that, that's a good thing. And you can always click on it, and like you can rescan servers, or you can log in if there's some issues. But generally you just want it to look like that, and that's how you should check that everything's going on. So if your charts are frozen, if they're not moving, if the market watch is not updating, there is a possibility that it's just a quiet time for the market, like somewhere between the American session and the start of the Asian session or the Australian session. It's quite quiet at those times normally, so that can happen. But it's always a good thing to look down here and make sure that the connection is going on. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch my internet off. So I'm just actually going to physically unplug my internet, and that way the connection will be disrupted and you will see what happens. So 2 things you should look out for. First of all, what changes here, and also listen to the sound that you will hear MetaTrader 4 make, because that is an important sound that allows you that notifies you that something's going wrong. Okay, I'm going to go switch my internet out. Hope you heard that. It was like a spring jumping out of a box, something like that, and that's the sound that MetaTrader 4 makes. And also here you can see that there is no connection. So that is your signal that something's gone wrong, and you need to make sure that the connection is reestablished before you can continue your work in MetaTrader 4. So now I'm going to switch the internet back on, and then you will hear the sound that MetaTrader 4 makes when it reconnects. There we go. That was the sound. We've already heard that before. That's the same sound as when you launch MetaTrader 4. And right away, you could see how the charts came to life and everything started moving again. So that's how you monitor your connection. Make sure that it's always up and running and that everything is working smoothly. If you hear that spring kind of noise, that's your first signal that something's gone wrong. Sometimes you might hear it briefly and then right away there'll be a reconnect, and that means that there was just a minor disruption and it has been already resolved, so you don't need to do anything. But if you hear the spring noise and then your terminal goes silent, that means that something's gone wrong and it needs fixing. All right, so that's us for today.